plural, it is n. Just so far, remember this, okay? Masculine, feminine, neutrum. If you want to remember that whenever it is feminine, okay, when I say whenever it is feminine, but you'll say, okay, it's feminine, so it has to be eno. First, if you have to go by this order, so first consider whether it is dative or not. If it is dative, forget it whether it is masculine, feminine, neutrum. Just as long as it is dative, it's n. As long as it's plural, it's n. Okay. After that, if it is not plural, if it is not dative, then check whether it is masculine, feminine, or neutrum. Okay. Let's look at this one. Uh, so I just highlighted this. Then, so what? This is the table, right? So dative n, plural n, neutrum, feminine AA, masculine as well A, but accusative it becomes AN. Okay, well remember, I'll give you a trick to remember all these rules. Then let's go with unbestimmte article. Anyone wants to read all these things? Anyone? Okay, let me continue again. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Uh, uh, from uh, from nominative masculine, no? Do you mean?
Yes. Yeah. Go this like the
Okay.
first column, second column, third column. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Ich bin ein schlauer Mann. Ich sehe einen schlauen Mann. Ich helfe einem schlauen Mann. Ich bin ein schlauer Frau. Ähm, Ich sehe eine schlaue Frau. Ich helfe einer schlauen Frau. Ich bin ein schlaues Kind. Ich sehe ein schlaues Kind. Ich helfe einem schlauen Kind. Wir sind schlaue
Here, there's a
Personen.
mistake. Here, like the ending, whenever it is plural, it has to be n. Just there is a mistake, so it should be n everywhere.
Okay, okay.
Continue.
Wir sind schlauen Personen. Ich sehe schlauen Personen. Ich helfe schlauen Personen.
Okay, just do one correction and one observation. So it's personen and not personen. Okay,
Okay.
personen. And then here it is. You said the way you said it's very correct. So you did not like pronounce the r, which is
Mhm.
appreciated because in normal daily life, whenever r is at the end of a word, you don't pronounce it in Hochdeutsch. Okay, but if you are writing in, so if I say schlauer or schlauer, it sounds the same. Okay, but
Mhm.
in an exam, be careful. So while speaking, nobody's going to point out your mistake because they don't know whether because you don't say R towards the end of a word normally. Okay.
Mhm.
Just an exam, be
Mhm.
careful if you're writing an exam. Now, here
Yeah,
as
sure.
well, guys, as a question.
No, no, no.
Okay. Now, here as well, this is a mistake. So it has to be N. And over here, again, what do you notice? So whenever it is dative, it is N. Whenever it is plural, it's also N. Whenever it is feminine, okay, feminine but not dative, okay, feminine but not dative, what is it? It is E. So feminine is still helping us, right? So it was A before as well, and it's A still now, right? Even now. Neutrum has become different, right? So on the last slide for bestimmte article, it was AA. Now it has become SS. Okay. Masculine, again, accusative, it is still behaving, so it is N. But the here masculine nominative for unbestimmte is er. Okay. Again, don't remember all of this, just remember this one. Whenever it is dative, it is N. Whenever it is plural, it is N. Whenever it is feminine, but not dative, it is A. This is easy to remember. Okay. Also, whenever it is accusative, masculine, it's N. Now, just want to ask you a question because you did not ask me. So, why is it like dative over here? Like, so ich sehe, and after sehe, what the object is, it is accusative, and after helfer, it is dative. Why is it like that? Anyone wants to answer? Why is it dative? Wrong answers are fine as long as you're giving answers. Really? Okay, so do you not know or okay,
because of verb helping.
helping, right? So helfen is one such a verb
Yeah.
which requires the object to be in dative. Sehen is one such a verb which requires the direct object to be in accusative. Okay, that is the reason. Okay, thank you for answering. Uh, Present review again. So we And by the way, you know, right? So article, when I say so we are talking about adjective endings, but we are not focusing on adjectives. We focus on the article which is it is being used with, right? So this adjective schlau, it is I mean, you can use any adjective over here, but I used it because it fit perfectly with all these examples. Uh, the ending of the adjective depends on the article. Okay, it depends on the article. It depends on the case. It depends on the gender. Okay. Okay, so we are talking about adjective endings, but we are focusing on everything else apart from the adjective itself. Okay, please understand this. So here I have highlighted them. Again, this is a mistake, so it has to be NN over here. It's not AA. It has to be NN. Now let's talk about negationsartikel and possessive article, right? So I will not go through examples, I'll just give you the table. So here are these, this is the table for negationsartikel. Negationsartikel, kein, keiner. And possessive article, I think L is missing. So mine, dein, euer, unser, ihr, sein, stuff like that. Now, if you notice, if I ask you, if I give you again, so again, this is not a mistake, but it's just a trick question. So unbestimmte article does not exist for plural, right? So unbestimmte article, unbestimmte article does not exist for plural. I hope you know that, right? Let me know if that is not clear. So normally I ask this, but so this, I mean, it does not exist, right? Unbestimmte article. Now, if you look at these two tables, right? If you look at this adjective endings for bestimmte article, and if you look at adjective endings for unbestimmte article, if I give you these two tables, can you build these two? If I just give you these two, if I tell you, okay, do you notice some pattern over here? The question may be tricky, but what I'm asking, if I give you these two tables, and if you have to combine, like maybe take few columns from here and take few columns from here and give me this table. Can you do that? So let's say if I have to take this table and take this table and build this table, what do I have to do is, I take all of these. Okay, so I take all of these and I put it over here. And for the last column, I take it from here, right? And if you notice, the table for negations article and possessive article is the same. That's a good news. Okay, so if you know the table for bestimmte article, if you know the table for unbestimmte article, you know the table for negations article, and vice versa. Like, and thereby you also know this table. Is it clear what I'm saying? So on next slide, I mean, it gets. I mean, if you see, so I take this one, right? I take this one and I put it over here, and I take this column and I put it over here. Is it clear, guys? So if you know how to build these two tables, like by logic how to build these two tables. Now in real life, when you're talking, you don't actually, let's say if you're talking and you have to use, let's say, feminine negation, like if you're using an adjective, and there the article is negations article and the noun happens to be feminine and it happens to be nominative case. I mean, you will not go and build this table in your head, then build this table and then build this table, right? It's not, this is still difficult to remember. Okay, so I told you one trick, but I'm saying do not remember this trick. Okay, now what is the trick that you should try to remember? Let me go to my Canva thing and then I can help you with it. Guys, anytime any questions, please ask. Don't need to wait for me to finish something. And you can ask questions from any topic. Okay, let me go into full screen mode. Okay, so now we have this. So we saw this table, right? So this is the same thing. Okay, is it zoomed enough or do I have to zoom in?
A little bit.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, now, how about now?
Yeah, this
Okay,
is good.
perfect. Repeating the same thing one more time. If you want to build the table for bestimmte article, remember dative. Okay, now I have also added genitive over here. Just understand, it's so simple, right? Whenever it is dative, whenever it is genitive, whenever it is plural, ending is n. Okay, so this way you can like, I mean, 4 plus, you remember all of this, right? Also the same for unbestimmte article. Whenever it is genitive, whenever it is dative, it is n. Plural does not exist for unbestimmte article, right? So you remember these two tables. Now feminine, of course, they will make our lives easier. So feminine ending is a. You know, again, ending is a feminine whenever it is not dative and it is not genitive, right? That's the obvious. I mean, you can follow that logic. Now, what about neutrum? So neutrum bestimmte article is aa, in with bestimmte, and with unbestimmte they become s. That's all you have to remember. Okay. Now the next logic: accusative masculine is n, accusative masculine is n. Same. Only for this one, best like masculine nominative bestimmte is a, and here it becomes air. How you can remember this is, how you can remember this. Just remember that in bestimmte article, masculine neutrum, they both are aa. Only when they become unbestimmte, you have to add r over here, you have to add s over here. Okay. Okay, this is one way to remember, right? One more way. And if you remember these two tables, you can have all these two tables, right? Over here as well, again, this table is for without articles. Okay, you don't have to remember this right now. If you have an exam, then you have to remember. If you don't have an exam, try not like always use articles. Okay, because if you don't use an article while speaking, then you have to remember this table as well, which I don't want you to. I do it in B1, but not right now. Okay, ignore this table right now. Now for negations article, possessive article, it is the same, right? Over here also you can follow the right dative, genitive, plural, n, feminine a. Only you here you have to be careful, right? So here air n s s. So if you know unbestimmte article table, one more way of saying the same thing. If you know the table for unbestimmte article, you know this table, right? Yes or no, right? If you know this table, right, you know this table. And plural, it's always n, right? Any questions, guys? Please ask because I can't follow. If I mean I can't see your face, so I don't know if you're confused or you like it. All right, let me see if I can zoom out and go to the next page. Perfect. So here are the rules, guys. If you don't mean, one way to remember is that so adjectives after articles, so these seven rules are only when you use articles. When you don't use articles, then it's difficult. Okay, so as long as you are article using articles, adjectives after the first rule you have to follow is that whether it is dative or genitive, ending is n. Second one, whenever it is plural, so I mean one is the same, dative, genitive, plural, ending is n. Masculine definite, okay, masculine definite, ending is en. Okay, then you have rule number third: adjectives after all feminine articles, it is a. Number four, adjectives after neutral articles, in definite case it's also a. Okay, adjectives after definite masculine in nominative, okay, so masculine nominative definite, it is also a. If you find this difficult to remember, maybe because the way I'm explaining, but it's very easy. If you could follow the previous slides, it's very easy to remember, right? So just let me know, guys, if you cannot follow. Then we have like 6 and 7. So when it is air, only one, adjectives after all masculine articles in nominative case except definite. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Let me go back to the previous slide. So masculine nominative is air, and also for without article it is air. Only exception you have to follow is whenever you are using bestimmte article. Otherwise, masculine nominative it's air. It will be a only for bestimmte article. I hope you could follow. That was the sixth rule. Seventh rule is Seventh rule is adjectives after all neutral articles except definite. Okay, similarly, so we had rule over here, right? Adjectives after all masculine nominative except definite. Here, adjectives after all neutral. Here you don't even have to consider the case whether it is nominative, accusative. So except definite, it is S. So what am I trying to say over here is, let me go back to the previous slide. So if you check, neutrum articles, it is SS, SS, SS. Okay. Now only for over here, it becomes AA. That's how you can remember. I hope you could follow the slides. If you don't follow, could not follow anything, remember, as long as you remember dative, genitive, plural, N, feminine, A. If you remember this, so you remember this rule, dative, genitive, plural, N. feminine A, and you also remember masculine accusative N. If you remember this, I mean, I will be, I will be happy if you remember just these basic rules. Any questions? No questions? So let me go back to the slide. Okay, let me go back to the slide. Now let's talk about, let's do some exercises, guys. You have been very quiet. Let's do some exercises, okay? We'll do exercises on maybe on conjunctions. Now, tell me, how do I write this in German? How do I say this in German? The gift is, so I can say for you, for her, for him, for me. How do I say this in German?
For dich.
Go ahead.
Das Geschenk ist für dich.
So you, dish, okay. Her,
Für sie.
correct. Him.
Für ihn.
Do you mean like een or een, like monkey or nylon?
N.
Sorry,
Monkey. Sorry. Nylon.
nylon is correct, right? Because it why do you, why it's not like een, and why is it not eam, and why is it een?
I don't know to explain it, but I know the difference.
Nominate.
So
I know them.
so if you are using the article, you are using the preposition few, right? So you should know this. Then you should ask, right? Okay, if you don't know, you have to ask, because I'll assume you know this from Evan. So when you use few, right, after few, it is also always, almost always accusative. Okay. So when you use few, it is almost always accusative. That means whatever you use over here has to be accusative. Now here I'm saying, here the object happens to be like a pronoun. If it was something else, if it was like a noun with an article, then the article would have been in accusative case. Now let's see if I have to. So I have this table: nominative, accusative, dative. Okay. So ish. What is ish in accusative? What is ish in accusative, guys? If I have to, the gift is for me. How do I say the gift is for me?
It's for mich.
Right?
Me,
Mish.
me,
Yeah. Good. Dative is, what is dative?
me, me,
Yeah, right. So I hope you could follow this, right? So
yeah.
air, it is in, and here it is in, right? You should remember this table. I always give this example. If I come to your house at 4 a.m. tomorrow in the morning, and if I throw cold water on your face, and if I ask you for this table, you should give me this table. Of course, you can slap me because I just threw cold water on your face, but you should remember this table. Okay. Now, so any questions, guys? Please ask. So that was the correct answer. So das Geschenk is few. Z, if you say here, I'm saying Z, that means I'm being formal with you. So Z, this Z is she, this is him, and this is me. Okay, remember this. Next, okay, this is, we did that. I am buying the kettle. One more, guys. One. So you may think this example is silly, right? But the idea of this example is not to prepare you to say this. The idea is that how often do you say blah blah is for blah blah? You know, you will say, like for example, this project is for, you can say that, right? Or this tool is for blah blah. That is the intention behind this example. I am buying the kettle. How do I say this? So by kettle, I mean you can give me any like kettle is that thing you have in your house, which like I mean, the
Ich
German.
kaufe eine Kettle.
You can say that. I mean, but like you have to give me the German word. What is
Kauf.
kettle, guys? The thing that you use to boil water in your house in Germany.
Hanne.
Kanne.
Kana, yeah, kana is correct. So entire sentence, please.
Ich kaufe eine Kanne.
But I'm not saying I'm saying the. If I said then it has to like the, right? So what will get the article?
Die Kanne.
The kana, right? And yeah, so that is correct. But I was going for Wasserkocher. I mean, you can also say that, so no problem. Uh, Now the reason, let's say if I say I am buying the kettle, if I have to say I am buying the red kettle, you know. So how do I say, what will be the adjective ending if you had to take a guess? So I told you, right? So adjective ending,
Ich glaube,
yeah.
ich glaube, ein rotes Wasser. Kanne.
So kana is dart. So what is it like? First of all, in which case is it like nominative, accusative, dative, genitive? Which case is it? The answer is here, right? Accusative. So if you, whenever you are in doubt, right, always say accusative. So object is almost always in accusative, unless and until you are using the verb sein over here. Is it clear, guys? Please ask. Because I don't know if it's not. So okay. So it is in accusative, right? And what is kana is there the thus
Die
The
Kanne.
the kana, right? So it is feminine. And what did I tell you? When it is feminine, what is the adjective ending?
Yes.
No,
Die.
a.
Ah, eh.
So
Yeah. Ah,
feminine
yeah.
always a, right?
Yeah.
So so if the red, so rotor, right? Not rotors. Ich kaufe die rote Kanne, and but if I say Wasserkocher happens to be masculine. What will be the adjective ending over here, guys? Masculine accusative. What did I say? Always
rotor.
n.
Uh,
Roten.
Okay.
Uh, Let me see if I can. How do I say this one? I am allowed to travel. How often you must be asking, like, I have fictions, you must this in the WhatsApp group, right? I have fictions bescheinigung, am I allowed to travel to India or some other place, right? How do I say this? I'm allowed to travel.
Ist, it's drauf or Ryzen.
Yeah, ich darf
On,
reisen. That's it. Ich darf
yeah.
reisen, right? Ich darf reisen.
Yeah.
Because when you use, again, please, so here you are using modal verb, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that can be conjugated. The other verb to travel will not be conjugated. It will be infinitive form. Yes or no?
Yes.
I have to buy the kettle. Which modal verb do I have to use, guys?
Ich muss,
Yeah,
ich muss
yeah,
Kettle kaufen.
uh, yeah. So let's come back to our. So let's. I think now
Okay.
there was enough interaction. Let's continue with our presentation, right?
I have one question. Like, what is the German word for kettle?
Kettle. Someone gave the answer, right? Can you? Someone wants to say the answer?
Kanne.
Kana. It's
Kann,
yeah.
kann,
so
I think it's Ka A double N A. I mean, yeah. But I
ka.
think normally I was going for Wasserkocher, guys. I mean, I apologize if kettle you think. I mean, I was going for Wasserkocher, but Kana is also.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that is, let's talk about this. So now this is like, this slide may look very heavy to you, but it's not. It's very basic. Okay. So if I have to say this Wenn and Dann, right? So this Wenn is not the English when. Okay, do not confuse this Wenn. If you really want to, so you should use this sentence structure whenever you're providing a condition. For example, if you do this, then this happen. If blah blah, then blah blah. Okay. I know sometimes you use the English when to also give condition. When you eat your food, then you get to play. Blah, something like that. But normally, when you use when here, think of condition. If blah blah, then blah blah. Now, if you only use normally, how is the normal sentence looks like, guys? So you have a normal sentence. There is no just normal sentence. It looks like you have a subject, then you have a verb, and then you may or you may not have the object or an adjective, right? For example, ich reise, right? Ich bin whatever. Okay, der Wasserkocher ist rot, das Projekt ist schwierig, or ich koche Essen, or ich sehe einen Film, right? Okay. Now what happens when you use just done? Okay, now we are only focusing on done. So you say a sentence, blah blah, comma, then you use done, and then you say blah blah. So the first one, there is no difference. It's still the same subject, verb, and you may or you may not have object or adjective over here. The moment you use done over here, what happens if you notice? The position of subject and verb get interchanged. Okay. Now in real life, if you do not follow this rule, it's still fine, but in an exam it is very important. Okay, in real life the rule is not, I mean, people will know your German is not perfect, but they will know what you're trying to say. Okay, now let's look at what happens. So again, the left, this side still remains the same. Okay, so but I mean it remains the same, but we will be using modal verb now. So like, in this we used just one verb. Okay, we used only one verb. Now we will be using modal verb as well. So subject, modal verb, object or adjective you can or you may not have, and towards the end you will have the actual verb. You conjugate this one, you don't conjugate this one. Then you use done. What happens is that the position of the subject and the modal verb get interchanged. Or you can just think of it like this, whichever verb is getting conjugated, that's its position gets interchanged with the subject. Clear so far? Now what happens if you use, let me give you an example, right? So let's see, if you pass A1, then you can attend, then uh, you can learn A2. Okay, so how do I say if you pass? No, okay. Let's look at an example. Maybe you can help me with text box. Yeah, perfect. I pass A1, then I study A2. So tell me, how do I say this using this sentence structure, guys? How to say to pass? You must have.
Bestanden.
Yes, but like you have to. Bestanden is like the adjective, right? Like you have to say, use it as a verb. So what is the verb? Come on. If you know Bestanden, you should know the verb. It's just Bestanden, but in a different way. Anyone else? Here it is ich bestehe. Okay, so the verb
Bestehe. Okay.
is, but for ich it is bestehe. Ich bestehe A1, dann, then,
Lerne ich.
Ich,
Lerne ich.
the,
correct,
Zwei.
right? So verb and then subject. Okay, verb and then subject, right? So we have this. Now let's see if I will use a modal verb, right? I have to pass A1, then I can study A2. How do I say this? I have to,
ich muss,
yeah,
A1.
ich muss,
A1.
bestehen,
but that has to
A1
be eins bestehen, yes, correct. Then,
dann,
Dann kann
kann ich A2 lernen.
correct. Dann kann ich A2 lernen. Very good. So I hope you followed the rules. So this, you conjugated the modal verb. The other one you leave it as it is. Okay. Now let's look at this one. Okay. So again, now we are using Wenn as well. Okay. Now we use Wenn as well. So again, just take this. Look at this over here. Subject, verb, and you can have object Dann, and then this one. But here now we also use Wenn. Okay. So before the subject, we will use Wenn. What happens is that when you use Wenn, the subject remains where it was, but the verb gets pushed to the last position.
Okay.
Clear? Okay. Now this all may look very difficult. You have to remember five different rules, but just say it n number of times. Watch, talk to people in German. Listen, whatever your favorite, watch your favorite movie in German. You will follow this. Your brain will know this rule. So when someone's like says Wayne and after subject they say verb, it will sound very odd to your brain. That there's something wrong with this language. So when I pass A1, then I can study A2. How do I say this?
Wann ich,
A1 verstehe.
No, no. Okay, so
Dann
slowly. So first you have to say Wayne, and then
wenn
uh,
ich
I have,
A1 verstehe, dann kann ich A2
yeah,
lernen.
yeah. Kann ich A2 lernen. Right? Or if it was just like this one, then it would be done. If it was just then I study A2, how do I say this? Very obvious, right? So what happens is
Yeah.
that what do you have after done? The conjugated verb, right?
Then learner-ish
Yeah,
also.
nice. That's why again this may also
Isha,
question.
I have one question over here.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between Wann and Wenn?
Van is like the English vein. So yeah, let me just write it because
Because over here we are using Wenn and we are not using Wann then in that case.
so here that the thing is when here you say when you say it, it is again so to write this sentence I could have also written like wann ich eins bestehe. You can say
Mm-hmm.
it will be still be correct, but when you so in English it's difficult. In English you can say it and then you can give it a condition, right? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So but
Mm-hmm.
when you use German wann, it is not a condition, it is a question. You know what I'm trying to say? I
Oh,
mean,
can you repeat once
in
again?
English,
What did you say?
yeah, go ahead.
Can you just repeat once again what the thing that you said right now?
Yeah. Let me just say it one more time carefully. So normally, normally,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to say the English if in German, you use Wenn. Okay. Sometimes,
Okay.
if you want to say Wenn, but when you in English you give it as a condition. If you are giving a condition, you still use Wenn. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
but but sometimes I have heard, again I have no authority on this, but I have heard people say they instead of using vain, they will use one, even though they mean a condition, even though they mean if.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, but
Okay. Okay. Okay.
never ever. So what, again, so it's kind of like let me so what I'm saying is that let me delete all of this. So just to make sure it's now become very too technical, but let me just say it right. So English if, English when, you can say it like when,
Mm-hmm.
one, okay, or English if, you can say it with any of these, okay. But if you want to say when, you know, like when are you coming, when are you eating, when are you
Mm-hmm.
getting, then you have to use one. You cannot say when
Okay.
over here, okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Again, but
So,
if it, yeah,
so it's like if I wanted to ask a question to someone related to when, so I should ask it one.
yes, correct. Right? And when the like if you and you can so you ask the question, right? For example, your question is one darf ich A2 lernen? This is your question, right? Now I can answer this question with the help of when, right? Wenn du A1 verstehst. You know what I'm saying? So I can answer
Mm-hmm.
your like when kind of question with the if condition. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it will get
Yeah.
easy if you do practice. Okay, now let's look at one more. So you use, here we have subject, modal verb, blah blah, but we did not use vein, right? The moment you use vein, what happens is that the conjugated verb gets pushed to the last position. Okay, all you have to remember is after done, after done, you have object, so you have the conjugated verb, and then you will have the subject. Remember this. Uh, we will later cover like dan happens to be a kind of connection, like connector. It is something like it is in that list. Uh, so we have three kinds of conjunctions. Let me just, now that we are talking about it, we'll cover it later. Okay, we'll cover, but what you remember is that when you use vein, what happens is that the conjugated verb gets pushed to the last position. Okay, when you use dan, all that happens is that the position of the conjugated verb and the subject get interchanged. That's it. Okay. Questions? No questions. Okay.
Mm.
Uh, homework is you have to write sentences using So this is the basic structure of a sentence, and when you use done, what happens is that the verb takes the position of subject, subject takes the position of verb. Okay, and what happens when you use when? The verb gets pushed to the last position. That's all you have to remember. Okay. Now let's look at this is more important than vain and done. Why I mean is that quite often most of you guys are working, or like you take part in meetings, right? And after every meeting, it's nice to give your feedback. Like you say, I found it, or I am happy, something like that, right? So how do you give your opinion? How do you think? I mean, you can say how you are feeling or how someone is feeling, but basically you are giving your opinion, right? So ich finde es, and then you can use an adjective over here, right? So after this session, you can say ich finde es gut, schlecht, whatever you want to say, right? Ich bin. This is also a way of giving, like, so for example, if I say ich bin faul, I'm just saying I'm lazy. But if I say ich bin beeindruckt, right, I'm impressed. Again, I'm saying, like, I'm giving an opinion, right? Also, this is again, the sentence is very easy, but you can use it in so many different ways, right? Of course, you can say, like, instead of giving, like, so you can say how someone else felt about the person. You say, like, ich fand es gut, aber also mein Kumpel fand es nicht so gut. Okay. Now this one, du siehst blah blah aus. It just, anyone idea what does it mean if I say du siehst gut aus?
You look good.
Right. So here, you can use it, and I mean, if you so blah blah, looks. So you can, instead of, for example, your junior guy, the colleague, sends you a report, and he or she is looking for a feedback. You can say, yeah, is it good aus? It looks good. You know what I'm saying? So try to use, like, homework is, see how often you say things like this, and see if you can write them in German. And it's very easy to write. These three sentences you can use in like n number of ways. So learn to use the prepositions mit and owner. So let's, yeah, normally I have this joke, the example, but let me just skip through it. Uh, what happens with mit and owner, right? If you go to a falafel, like most, like, normally in Germany, like one cheap, like on one not so expensive way to like have lunch or dinner is go to a nearby doner shop, right? And there you go. Normally one question they ask is, alles darauf, or they will then tell you, like, mit da, mit sasiki, or mit scharfe Soße, or mit blah blah. You can say ohne blah blah, right? So clear so far. So mit means with, owner. By, I think you should know this, because uh, mit is with, owner is without. But one difference is that, okay, here in a falafel shop, it's not important, right? I mean, you just say mit Zwiebel, mit, you just say that. But you will use it in many different ways. For example, ich kaufe Wasserkocher mit einer Waschmaschine. Okay, so when you use that, whatever comes. So I said, like, for example, you have fewer, right? So we know that after fewer, almost always what comes after that is accusative. Similarly, after mid, it is always, not almost always it is dative. Okay. After owner, it is always accusative. Okay. One example, for example, you realize that your friends are going out, and you are like, owner mish, without me. And then your friends will, no, no, mit dia, also with you. So what I'm saying is that you can, some people just say sentences using mit and owner, for example. So you can say with something, without something. Just be careful with dative accusative. Questions? No. Then please tell me, how do I say these things in German? Again, you don't have to like give me exactly literal like one-to-one translation. But what I want is that, you know, uh, some,
Sie, sie,
yeah,
sie arbeitet mit
Sie
mich.
arbeitet mit mir.
Nein, mich sorry, nicht mehr.
correct, right? So mish will be accurate because incorrect
Okay.
because it is dative. She can work without me.
Sie kann ohne mich arbeiten.
Correct. Next one, please.
How, how can I go without it? Wie kann ich ohne dich gehen?
Okay. Anyone else wants to like we use another verb? I mean, of course, that sentence is correct, but let's
Wie
say,
kann ich gehen
yeah,
ohne dich?
yeah, we can on the dish.
Gehen.
Okay, if I say, how can I go out without you? To go out, there is a different verb. It's not gehen, it's something else.
Wie gehe ich draußen ohne dich?
But let's say, I'm talking about, let's say I'm talking about someone you have, your partner. Okay. Yeah. uh, for example, you go out, have a dinner or lunch, then what is the verb for that? It's ausgehen. Wie kann ich ohne dich ausgehen? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, you don't need it. I mean, I don't know, because most of you are learning this for professional life. I don't think you need it, but just telling you. Next one, guys. Do you want to go with me?
Möchtest
Willst du mit
du
mir,
Common.
Okay.
äh, mit mir
willst du mit mir kommen oder gehen?
gehen? Ja.
Yes, right. Möchtest du mit mir kommen or gain? Again, this is this is you need this. For example, like if you go to office, if you're not working from home, when you go out during the lunch, you ask, right? Hey, we are going out for lunch. Do you want to come? Willst du mitkommen, right? Or willst du mit uns gehen or mitkommen? Now, again, any idea what this like where you can need this sentence 65,000 with the variable part without the very again this is like nothing to do with German. I just want to see if you get what I'm trying to say with the sentence. Where do you want to say something like this? Where will you have to say something like this? 65,000 with the variable part, 64,000 without the variable part. If you are working in Germany, uh, that's a hint. Maybe when you go for a new job, and like normally you have this, this
Expectation.
expectations. There is a fixed salary and there is a like variable salary, variable part. So you may need this over there. So how do I say this, guys? 65,000 with the
Ungefähr.
yeah. At least
Ungefähr 65.000.
yeah, but I mean you have to say, like, for example, like I'm interviewing you for the job and I ask you what is your salary expectation, and so 65,000 is the very with the so this is the all you will get. Okay, this is what I'm offering you, and you will say no, no, 64, no, 65,000, that's too less with the variable part. 64,000 without the variable part, and maybe 2,000 variable. So that means you can
Flexibel?
no, it's just the same verb, just say it like a German.
Okay.
So same variable, just say it like how will you say it, like if you like if yeah, variable, yeah, correct.
Variabel.
Yeah. And now be careful, now we have to use our knowledge of adjective endings. Okay, how do you say part?
Tile.
Teil.
So you can say tile, but I think when we talk about salary, we call it untile, but tile is still fine now.
Anteil.
So tile is also or untile, doesn't matter. There, the, thus. Come on.
Das.
Really? I think it is there. Hmm,
Okay.
let me check if it is there. I think now I have to check.
For part, do you mean?
Yeah, yeah, it is there. Also, thus as well. I think I just checked, so it can be thus, it can be there, both. Now let's go with there. Sorry, let's go with there because it makes it's make okay, doesn't matter. So we are using mit, right? Then that means after mit, whatever comes will be dative. So mit. So if we go with the there tile, so mit den tile, right? And what about variable? What will be the adjective ending? What do you remember about whenever it is dative, whenever it is genitive, whenever it is plural? What is the adjective ending?
And
IN.
N. Then mit dem Variablen Teil or mit dem Variablen Anteil, right? And if you say, we use without,
Un variable. Variable. It, it, it will be, I think
it
so.
will,
Ohne.
it will still be N, right? Because it is masculine and it is accusative, right? So even if you guys, this is why it is important. Okay, so you know with them because it is accusative, here it is dative, and then because here it is accusative. Is it clear? Why is it them? Why is it then? You should know,
Okay.
right? So there the thus in nominative, then them the thus in accusative, and in dative. So sorry, accusative is then. You know this table, guys. Please tell me you know this table because so let me get the table. So there, the, thus, And then the, this is nominative. What about accusative?
Den,
Then
die,
the
The, does the,
das, die.
remains the same, right? Just only this one changes, right?
yeah.
What about dative?
Them,
Yeah,
Der,
their, them,
dem,
then.
den.
Yeah, them, then.
right.
Den. Yeah.
And genitive, don't have to remember right now, but okay, if you know, it's fine. If you don't know, it's still fine. So again, one thing I also want to notice, so in German, I hope you know this. If you don't know, be careful when you're doing transactions. So when you write point, so
Mhm.
here in English it was comma, here it has become point. This does not mean 65. This still means 65,000 euros. Okay, I hope it is clear. So in German system, comma is replaced by when you talk about numbers, decimal, right? So comma and full stop get interchanged. How this is clear? Okay. Yes or
Yeah.
no? Please ask. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And now one more, so I told you about these two prepositions. Then we have like, then there are verbs, mid-common, mid-bringen, mid-nehmen. These have nothing to do with this. Okay. So it's just that mid-common is a trennbare verb. So mid-common is to come along. Okay. And mid is the separable prefix. So if I ask you, are you coming along? What will you say? Are you coming along in German, guys? I'm going out for
Um,
you.
Kommst du mit?
Correct. Comes to mid, right? Uh, Uh, can you please bring cola?
Cola mit
Cola bringen.
Right? But because this
dir.
is
Kannst du bitte Cola mitbringen?
correct, right? So here this has nothing to do with this one, just so you remember. Okay, now I think we are done. Okay, now we still have. Let me just check what is the. Okay, let's do the play the game, guys. Today's session was a little bit here and there because of the start. No problem. Let's play this game. Again, those who are joining for the first time, one homework you have to do apart from all the homework. Again, guys, the homework is, just try to write sentences using mit owner. Okay. One example I always say, you write this sentence, ich kann mit, ich kann ohne blah blah leben. And after owner, just like, list down all the art, like things you find in your apartment and, and just write sentences. Then you will practice accusative, you know, right? uh, and you can write similarly, I can live with blah blah. Okay, the call will end at any time, guys. So thank you very much for joining. I will upload the recording. And one more thing is that I have posted this newsletter thing. You can subscribe. It's free. I mean, then I will just send you all this, slides as email. So it will be better for you. Let's play this game and the call.